Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game 1 of the Wombat Invitationals. Filmed what seems like many weeks ago, finally getting Game 1 live here. So, quick overview about how this tournament works as we watch EZ for Team Empire doing deployment here. There are 6 people participating in this tournament. 3 Imperials, myself, Joke, and EZ. And there are 3 Rebels, Cornell, Oso, and StarDancer, that are participating. Teams randomly selected who would play what match, and the maps were preset. So this first map was designed by yours truly. And you can see here with the Empire, I called this map Heavy Metal. Okay, so you can see the Rebels have Mon Cal, Bothwy, and Ryloth, and the Empire has no adjacent systems. So the Empire has a loyal Corellia, a loyal Mustafar, and a loyal Mygeeto, all heavy duty, with 2 subjugated Sullust and Mandalore in the middle of the map. So you can see we've got quite a distance between everybody here. So the idea was lots of plastic on the board, lots of action. I apologize for how the video recording went here. It ended up recording off center. So I thought I was filming everybody, but unfortunately I did not. So what does that mean? So we'll just have to do our best from memory here. So you can see EZ did a kind of a forward deployment, 2 Star Destroyers on the right, 2 assault carriers supported by a Star Destroyer on the left, Death Star in reserve. Mahdi was drawn, as were both of the droids. So 3PO and R2-D2, R2 on Leia, 3PO on Mon Mothma. We have black view here, which is nice because we can see everybody's mission cards, although because the view is off center here, it did not work. So we got Rebels on 3 standard missions, and we got Tarkin on a mission here. And I suppose I won't disclose what that is since we can't see it here. I intentionally have not mentioned where the Rebel base was, though a keen eye may have spotted it previously. So this is StarDancer playing the Rebels, and he opens with a sabotage on Seleucami. Okay, probably in theory to drive the Empire more towards Felucia, which would make some sense. And since sabotage has been played, EZ opens up with R&D, drops Tarkin in Corellia to try to hedge against the Rebels trying to build an alliance out there. Rebels are now infiltrating. And you can see the starting objective that StarDancer drew is a little bit unfortunate for this map. It was threaten the core, and it made sense to deposit the Rebel Army and Navy out in Bothwy because it's not easily accessible by the Empire. Tough objective to score. Also, participants could pick either deck, base deck or road deck. And they didn't have to disclose that to the opponent ahead of time. So the only thing that was preset was the maps. Starting cards were not preset, and the deck that was being used was not preset, and you didn't know your opponent ahead of time. All right, EZ is covering Naboo, leaving a assault carrier behind to cover either Cato or Bespin. Nice move there. Death Star out to Ord. And then the Rebels are inching closer to Imperials with the use of Leia, since she wasn't able to block anything. And reflexively, EZ moves out to Bespin with the assault carrier, wants to get those remotes covered. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. So new round, support of the Hutts was drawn, and then we have some builds to do here. So Rebels leave everything on queue. Nope, looks like they're going to deploy 1. It's a total of 6 in the base now. Nope. End up, yeah, let's try that again. Okay, Rebels recruit Madine, drop 2 in the base. They have 3 speeders there total, 7 units, so they're still protected against gather intel pretty well. Empire's going to drop some troops out to reinforce their current positions. Currently, Coruscant is open, but the Death Star has some good units there to cover in case the rebels try to get cheeky with a hit and run and a hidden fleet or something like that. I thought one of the weak points to this map might be, potentially having to cover Heart of the Empire, just because it's natural to kind of push your units up. All right, Soontir using his card right away, getting in combat with this fleet here. We can expect, he's got to think about a potential cancellation here. Instead, the 1 damage card was played and the blocking 3 hits. So blocking 3 hits means he's going to need 2 criticals to do damage here to the Corvette. So right now the Y-Wing's toast, or at least hit by 1. He has a chance to heal it. And then the Corvette's got a damage on it. TIE Fighter card could have potentially taken 1 down, but Madine would have ended up healing it anyway. All right, Y-Wing's dead. 1 TIE Fighter killed in response. Nope, he's going to roll to heal the Y-Wing. Okay. And then Madine's got to make the decision of whether or not to stay or leave. He's going to leave, head down to Cato. So he's getting a little bit closer to threaten the Empire here, or to threaten the core. Nope, but actually that is not a legal retreat. He's got to go up to Bothui where there's loyalty. All right, back to business. Infiltrating. And then, yeah, look at that amount of plastic on the board we got there. 2 Moncals. Gotta imagine if we had a Mothma starting card too, would have had a full squid plate up there. All right, Tag's gonna get down to business, do some subjugating, trying to get these rebels under control. Sabotage in Mandalore. So we got 2 sabotages on the left side of the board here. And then, as you can see, EZ is playing with the rote deck, and he's got a leader recruit. So he's going to pull Boba Fett out of Tatooine here. Okay, we've got Leia on Build Alliance, which should be giving the Imperials pause now, since Mothma's on something fun and exciting. Vader out to subjugate Rhodia. So I think EZ's playing this really well. If I'm playing the Empire here, I'm thinking to myself, just kind of try to limit what damage we can do here. Mothma going for Yahtzee and gonna drop established trade relations on Nal Hutta. It's an interesting choice, but obviously it's to try to nab support of the Hutts. And with the Imperials not on any missions, there's not a whole lot they can do. So as bad as Threaten the Core was for starting location, Support of the Hutts, really good one to draw in that instance. So, all right. 1 point for the Rebels. Finishing up this round, got some deployment to do here. I'll point out what they're doing because I kind of like it, and this is something I'll do from time to time depending on how mentally aware I'm feeling at any given time. You can mark where you're putting units with these counters or with X's using the pen or something like that, or I've seen it done with circles. It helps you keep track of what you've deployed, so that way you can have an idea if you want to rethink where you deployed and you don't quite remember if you dropped a striker or a TIE fighter. At the moment, looks like just kind of reinforcing existing armies. We've got kind of a large rebel buildup here in Bothui, and then also a large Imperial force right next to it. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes here. So Rebels running a rapid this turn. They also pulled Lando. So if you have watched any of my other videos where a rebel pulls Lando and I just silently or out loud cry to myself, it's because of an independent operation. Undercover's a good card too, so you just gotta try to figure out which one they have if you're Empire, but in this particular instance it's independent operation. You can see that up there. Alright, so we are attacking back into TIE Fighters now that we have an X-Wing to bring along, so we'll do a couple of damage. TIE Fighters will respond with a red damage and hopefully roll a crit. In case you guys were wondering, I am on Team Empire. I know that shocks everybody. So Empire has taken out the Corvette. 2 TIE Fighters are down. Next card that's played is No Heal, followed by a black hit. A little bit of a mistake was made there, actually. That TIE Fighter shouldn't have died due to the blocked hit, but I don't think it changes too much here. Okay, so Maydeen leading the assault. Emperor coming in with message from High Command that goes unblocked. So we now have Cato in another move. The idea here is that I'll post these videos in the same order that they were filmed. So this one will be this week, round 2 will be next week, and then round 3 the week after that. So hopefully we'll have some good releases back to back to back. And here we go. Yep, Empire's dropping Construct Super Star Destroyer, if you can't quite see the top of that card. And because it was 2 leaders, it goes on build Q2. And then Rebels respond by building base defenses. So far this map's worked out quite well. We got tons of plastic on the board, which is what I was kind of hoping for. The second map is actually a rote setup. That's a map that Alistair Cookie designed. If anybody here is familiar with Cookie, he's the winner of basically every other tournament we've done. Because he did not play in this one, he can't win it, so it seems good. All right, let's see here. Rapid with Lando. If you're Rebels and you have independent operation, you have probably seen other videos where I attempt to capture and or detain Lando because he's such a menace with independent operation. So a lot of the times if you're going to play a rapid, it's not a bad idea to use Lando because then he can't be detained or captured. So Vader pops out with a capture on Riken, succeeds with Boba, I suppose, supported by Vader. Leia's going to try to do a sabotage here, but it's not specifically because she wants the sabotage to succeed here. She's just worried about the follow-up mission that's coming after the capture, which is Interrogation Droid. And because StarDancer was so keen to that, with the help of R2 here, we have a little bit of a dice rolling mishap where everything gets mixed up on top of each other, but we end up sorting it out here. And what happens is R2 is used to remove one of the blocks that EZ rolled, which then puts the Imperials behind by a point or a tie, and then it ends up being a loss for Interrogation Droid. So even though sabotage didn't go off, the Interrogation Droid also did not go off, thanks to Leia. So Riken is saved. The Rebels live another day, or at least the base stays totally unrevealed for a little bit longer. And Mothma builds Alliance out in Geonosis. And this being a build round, Tarkin's kind of got no choice but to cover Mon Cal here. Got to prevent that last Mon Cal cruiser from getting on the board. And we have a final move to subjugate Toydaria with a portion of the forces here too. You can see the way EZ's moving here. He's trying to keep Imperial locations not sabotaged to try to prevent I think, to try to prevent cut supply lines from being scored. So that's kind of a nice thought there. We forget to flip that loyalty over, but there's nothing left on Selekami at the moment. At least I don't think there is. I don't see anything there. You can take a look at the probe map here real quick. We've got Endor available. We've got Dantooine, Dathomir, Yavin, Kessel, Tatooine, Dagobah, Malastare. I mean, Alderaan. Ugh. Lots of rebel spots here. Okay, Rebs drew Plan the Assault. They also have Rebel Assault for an objective here, and they drew Obi-Wan's card, which is good for rescuing. You can draw that other objective that you might need and do a rescue at the same time. And the Empire draws Lure, which could be good. I mean, you've got Riken, I guess. And then now we've got a decision on where to deploy these capital ships. So this is always a big decision for Rebel players. If you have two Moncals coming out on the queue, you know, do you drop them in the base and create like a giant bulwark? Do you drop both Moncals out together on the map? You know, I've many a times have been harassed and unable to kill a group of two Moncals that are supporting each other with fleet logistics. Especially if you mix in the card that lets you get all your combat cards back too. Lots of options. All right, StarDancer's going with Moncals in the base, Y-Wings in Nal Hutta, and then keeping the potential Death Star strike force here a little bit further behind. Or maybe not, maybe they'll deploy him, we'll see. If the Nebulon and the X-Wing end up going in the base, I'm usually more worried about a trench run, like a Death Star run, than if the Moncals go in the base. If the Moncals go in the base, sometimes I think I'm closer to the base than I really am. Can also see another objective up there. They got Liberation, which will be a nice one to score. So Easy's going to still guard the Death Star here. He does not need to check Ilum, so he doesn't need to worry about an attack out of there, but he does need to be a little bit concerned about Alderaan still. He also has no forces available to check Dantooine or Yavin, or Felucia, I guess he can cover here. Dathomir would be tough to get to also. Putting a shield bunker out in Mygeeto helps cover if you move the Death Star over that way. Also helps if you need to drop Imperial Might on top of something. Since Easy's got the road deck. And then we're just one turn away from having that super deployed also. So, let's see here. All right, over to assignment. Still no real great view of the Imperial cards. Sorry about that. So think about, if you're playing Empire, where you cover, right? Or what do you run? Do you try to draw some probes now? The Rebel base is at 12, 13 units, so you'd get 3 probes if they don't keep anybody back to block. Rebels have a captured leader, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to, you know, afford to leave somebody behind to block. And their rescue card costs 3 to execute, so they would need to use Leia and Madine. But we are opening with an attack. And bring in stuff from the base. Okay, so Nal Hutta is attacking. Bring in the Moncals, the X-Wings, another Y-Wing, and they are attacking Toydaria. So that means the base has to be on Nal Hutta, Kessel, Malastare, or Kashyyyk. I don't think we have the Kashyyyk card either. So Gotta grab the Toydarians here and then make a decision as to whether or not you want to bring a leader into this mess. Now, a few things to think about. Rebels attacking, they're probably pulling or trying to score Rebel Assault. There's also a ton of starfighters here. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7 red dice being rolled. So we got two extra Y-wings here. So he's in it for the long haul. Easy opts to go with no leader and just to do a black damage. And then we've got 2 damage on the Star Destroyer here. So right now we're trying to see how many, if you're Empire, you're basically hoping for lots of starfighter hits here. And here we go with a roll. Rebels, not a great roll, not bad. Got a crit, couple of red hits. Got 3 rerolls with Wedge. And also have 1 in a million, but probably don't need to play that here. So a couple of crits, a couple of red hits, a black hit for the TIE Fighter. It's pretty solid damage here.
Friday, but I don't want to do it on Sunday.
All right, and Empire rolls really well here. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, a red hit, and a heal. So that has an opportunity to take out all these extra starfighters here. We'll see which route it goes. Not enough damage to take out a Mon Cal. Might be wondering why Wedge didn't play Fleet Logistics. Probably reason because the chance of taking out a Mon Cal was pretty low here. So he could have saved that for round 2. So instead he just goes after all the starfighters and takes them out. Follow-up rolls here. TIE Fighter wipes. Has an opportunity to take back the X-Wing. Does that. And then the Mon Cals are left. So Todoria's got a couple of Mon Cals, missing a lot of the starfighters from the base, which we now know is adjacent to Toydaria. So the Ord fleet moves up to Mandalore, trying to move into position on here. And then we still have a follow-up fleet in Bothawui. And there's a couple of pretty cool maneuvers that are available from there too. If you guys have seen some of my other videos, you probably know what I'm talking about. So we'll just have to see how this plays out here. All right, we got Leia moving the transports, doing an attack on Naboo. Trying to score liberation here, because Naboo is currently subjugated. So transport cards already been used, X-Wing cards already been used, ion cannons already been used, kind of limited options for what can be done. Empire is already rolling second, so no need to flip the combat. Just play a card you want to get back. They will flip the combat. Not really anything the TIE Fighter can do here, because the transport either has to stay and be destroyed or retreat, and the TIE Fighter can't do 2 damage to it. Not without its card. Alright, and on the ground. No leader here to worry about confrontation, so I think you just try to get up your odds to survive, so you can either play the block a hit card or blow up a troop card, whatever floats your boat here. Might want to blow up a troop just to, because you've got kind of limited resources out in Utapau to counterstrike with. So anyway, Liberation gets scored, so now we have Support of the Hutts. We have Rebel Assault for blowing up the Star Destroyer in the last battle, and we have Liberation. So by round 4, already 3 objectives scored, which is pretty great for StarDancer. Now Tag's got to make a decision here, because we don't know if the base is on Malastare or not. So Tag is going to fly in with just a single stormtrooper to check. Now that's going to make him very vulnerable to confrontation. But luckily for him, there was no rebel base there. Lucky or unlucky, I'm not sure. I think Tag's toast either way. We'll see if the assault carrier should survive here. And then he would have the option, if he wanted, of retreating back to Toydaria. So 2 damage knocks out the transport. And then expect confrontation from the rebels and probably the armored patrol car from the, or armored patrol from the Empire, I would imagine. Unless he wants to just deal damage, but probably wants to save the rest of those for later turns. All right. Yep. Okay, so flip the combat. Confrontation, flipping the combat makes sense because he gets a chance to heal. Rebels have to score some hits. They score 1 direct, 1 regular, Tag is toast, and then 1 counter roll here. No chance to roll a heal, but does score a hit. Then Tag has the option of retreating if he wants back to Rhodia or to where Riken is or to Cato. But instead he'll stay there and just make sure Malastare is blockaded. I think that's a good move. Alright, let's see what the rebels are up to here. Got an infiltrate by Dotana. Go ahead and get into those level 2 objectives a little bit further. And then Empire's got to make another decision on which direction to attack. So if you look at the fleet in Bothui, well, I guess we'll go here first. Boba's going to go ahead and do a gather intel. And on this gather intel, he doesn't draw anything useful. So we have Malastare covered. We still have Nal Hutta, Kashyyyk, Kessel, all eligible systems. So if you look at the Bothui system here, they could attack the rebel fleet in Toydaria and then retreat to a different location if they pull everybody out. The reason they wouldn't be forced to retreat into Malastare is because there's rebel troops there. So they could retreat to Kashyyyk, Kessel, or Nal Hutta legally. They just need to have a transport survive in round 1. So what Easy's doing here is he's trying to calculate how much to bring. And this is one of the things about Rebellion is there's so many little decisions to be made that can have a major impact on the game. And what you're going to see here, we're going to go ahead and bring everything in because that's his idea. And then for whatever reason, I'm sure he had one, for whatever reason he ends up choosing to leave the striker behind. And I don't know if that's because he didn't want to lose it to the Moncals or if he just wanted to make sure he had something covering Bothui. But about, a quarter way through this combat, once it starts, Easy recognizes that he made the mistake, but he doesn't ask to take it back or anything like that. But he recognizes it was a mistake. You can hear him sigh in the actual game, and it just is what it is. This is a complicated game with lots of stuff. So he saved the flip the combat card. The rebels will play no card next turn is the card they have left over. So Rebels will be rolling first with Wedge because Wedge led the attack earlier, and he still has 1 in a million left too. So, or does he? Yeah, I think he does. All right, so 1, 2 hits so far, 3 rerolls, 3 hits, and a black hit. No starfighters to hit though, so he's just gonna damage that assault carrier, I think. If you're newer to Rebellion, when you're leading an attack, he's going to do 3 to the Star Destroyer. When you're leading an attack, flipping the combat's a great tool to have because it lets you roll second. That allows you to heal, but it also... I guess there were 4 hits on the Star Destroyer. All right. Not only does it allow you to heal, it also forces the attackers sometimes to over-damage ships in anticipation of a heal. So sometimes you get, in a way, extra healing without even knowing it. So you can, if you're expecting your opponent to flip the combat, you can counter that with a no heal card is a good counter to that. So they're discussing the retreat move right now, and EZ is regretful of that, but it's just what happens. All right, Lando's got a rapid again. Keep in mind we've got independent operation there, and we've got the Emperor and Ozzel available here. Mothma on Build Alliance. And also, Riken no, I guess he doesn't need to be freed because the retreat can leave him there with the ground force. Yeah, I think that's right. All right. Got to build alliance down in Sullust. Vader bringing people back from Mon Cal up to Seleucami. Debating on whether or not he needs to leave Mon Cal covered or not. He opts to not. And then Emperor rules by fear, and then Ozzel is going to R&D that off to create some production there. That's a pretty great move because it allows you to bring a Super Star Destroyer right next to the base, unless you think the base is on Nal Hutta, in which case it's 1 move away. So, nice move there by EZ. Does free up Mon Cal. At least I think it frees up Mon Cal. Maybe there's a troop left up there. All right, rapid. We've got Bespin, Felucia, Tatooine, and Dagobah. So a couple of options here. Now he can move to a few of those places. Felucia's obviously well covered. Dagobah's fairly open. Tatooine, except for Utapau. Tatooine is covered by just a single assault carrier and then a second assault carrier in Malastare. So I'm going to kind of not edit this part of the video too short, and I'll let you guys think for a minute. Bespin is covered, but between Tatooine, Dagobah, staying, and I'll go ahead and tell you where the base is, staying at Kessel, which is where the base is, or... would you move? Would you stay? I don't know. I don't think I'd pick Felucia. I think I'd consider Dagobah or Tatooine in this location. Now, the ground force, you do have 3 speeders, a shield generator, an ion cannon, which isn't going to make too big of a difference, especially if that Death Star gets overhead and you don't have a whole lot of fighters to Death Star plans it away. You've got a Super Star Destroyer that's about to deploy, and you've got a loyal Seleucami that can deploy it. So you've got a little bit of a mess. The Imperials, if you remember, also got all their combat cards back last round, so they'll have the Imposing Presence card to block 2 red hits and a direct hit. So if you decide to make a final stand with Wedge, try to use 1 in a million, you got your 2 Mon Cals and an X-Wing against a Super, and whatever token ground force they bring in, you probably last a little bit. Maybe not. Or you move to Tatooine and then you attack out with your Mon Cals. to wipe the assault carrier because you can't deploy the super there, and he moved out of Rhodia, so can't deploy in Rhodia either. Or you move to Dagobah and try to bolster it with your ground forces, maybe. If you move to Dagobah, you could deploy your Nebulon and your X-Wing maybe and try to take out that Star Destroyer. Oof, that'd be a mess. I'm not too sure here. So anyway, everybody enter your bets and we'll see where we come out. I would say Felucia's 1 out of 10. Yep. We are moving. We're moving to Tatooine. All right. Now, it'll be interesting to see, because from Easy's perspective, that move could have been to Dantooine, could have been to, Alderaan, potentially, although that'd be a little gutsy. Could have been to Endor. Where else could it have been that would have been pretty devastating? Yeah, probably that. Tatooine, Dagobah, Dantooine, I think, would be a tough one. So then, now note, you do have Ozzel, so you do have a catch them by surprise that you can run to. So Easy, I think, is taking his time here to kind of really assess what could happen. He draws 2 decent cards for this situation. Probes, nothing super useful. Yavin's fairly useful. And then, so you do have Ozzel, so you do have an option of checking something. The other card that we have that has not been used yet is Yularen's Local Rumors. So while Easy decides where to place these 2 raid outpost cards, you also have to be thinking, is this the time to use Yularen's card to figure out what region he's in. And I apologize, it's actually not Endor as an available spot, because it looks like we have the assault carrier down there already. So really just Dantooine. He drew Yavin, maybe Dathomir, maybe Tatooine, maybe Dagobah. Krennic's mission pulls up for leader, so he gets to look at the top 3 cards, and basically that lets him know where the Death Star plans are, because he's going to see those now. So he knows that he's not holding on to the Death Star plans because he has no level 2 objective in his hand, but now he knows where in the deck the Death Star plans are. And then the Rebels are going to deploy the X-Wing and the Nebulon in base. Makes sense. Probably for a first turn attack out to the assault carrier and the striker would be the thought process there. Bring the Moncal, maybe reveal the base, leave the X-Wing there, bring the Nebulon, retreat backwards. I don't know, any number of things. You could retreat after you end the air combat, because there's ground combat there, and then consolidate. Lots of things you could do. Alright, so for the Empire, we're deploying AT-AT and Utapau. That lets you check Dagobah. He has got the ability to check Alderaan, check Kashyyyk. He's in pretty good shape here. So what he's going to do... Alright, and you can see Lauren is coming out and going to Rhodia. So the answer to that is yes, the Rebel base is in that system. Can do a quick check and see that means, from Easy's perspective, it's either going to be in Geonosis or Tatooine. It's going to follow up with an Ozzel move. Move the striker, the carrier, the AT-ATs into Tatooine. The result is the Rebel base, lightly defended here. Then we've got a full slate of Imperial cards. So I think the idea here is to roll out a TIE fighter, try to take out that X-Wing and damage the damage the Nebulon. And we're playing block red hits here. From StarDancer. Lando to the rescue. A TIE fighter comes out. We're blocking 2 black hits. And rolling 2 green dice. You can see the rebels roll 1 hit, which is blocked. And nope. 2 direct hits too. Oh, we haven't rolled yet for the rebels. Imperials are attacking. Okay, that makes sense. So red hit, black hit, critical hit, red hit's blocked. Follow up with 1 critical. Alright, damage goes to the striker. No, second thought goes to the TIE fighter because we don't want that TIE fighter card coming out. X-Wing is toast. Now we've got 2-on-1. Frigate's got 3 health points, but no more block cards and no way to heal. So now all we got to do is just do damage to it. So we got a couple of 2 1-point damage cards. Nebulon's got to roll double hits, plus probably do another damage here too. And get lucky and wipe out all 3. And then have the Empire not roll 2 hits here. And we roll 1 hit and 0 direct. Oh, nope. Never mind. Reroll is a second hit. So that's the end of the game. All right, my sincere apologies for the film angle on this. A little bit of an odd viewing angle. So the good news is I fixed that. The bad news is I don't fix it until halfway through the second game. So we'll have to deal with that a little bit more partway through here. So ending Rebel Reputation 11, total combat objectives 2, loyalty objectives 1. Team Imperial Might is 1 game to the Rebels of 0. And next up we have Cornell versus Joke, and that's on the rote map. So I'm looking forward to rolling that one out here next week. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.